All right, what's good, everybody? I'm just gonna talk about these patch notes. I didn't end up streaming yesterday, and I feel bad about that actually, because I saw these patch notes and it completely took the wind out of me. I have some wind back in me, so I can record this video, but I saw these patch notes and I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" Um, we'll talk about this a little bit. I'm gonna try not to be too harsh on it, but like, okay, the first thing that I really want to talk about is this nonsense right here on the screen. Like, look at all this roofless nonsense. Like I think I'll start out by just flat out saying I would have loved to see this level of TLC applied to the actual game. Now, it's worth noting, I don't want all these nerfs. Like, if I go through here, it's just step-by-step nerfs because they allowed a fourth ascendancy node in Roofless and whatnot. If you care about Roofless, go ahead and read this on your own time. I'm not actually going to read this all in detail. But, like, there's a lot of changes in here that are, like, Roofless specific, and it was, like, very TLC heavy. But it's just a lot of removing stuff from ascendancy nodes because now you can take 4 ascendancy nodes in roofless. But like the point being is that why is roofless getting such a big structural change? Especially here we go. So here's the big thing, right? Everybody's talking about this. I feel like I might as well add to it. This is our skill balance section for the actual game. One massive nerf, a function that I can't tell what this is going to be good for. A slight buff to wall summon skeletons, and the leveling parts of it. Roofless now being good with all ailments. This is going to do some stuff for like Viper Strike, maybe. Who the fuck cares about this? I'm still trying to figure out exactly what this means, but I'm working on some cook with some friends about that. And a complete gutting of a skill. If you don't know, by the way, the orb tag prevents you from having more than one of this skill active at a time. It's like Orb of Storm, so you can only have one out. You can only have one Hydrosphere out. You can now only have one Cremation out. This completely annihilates the skill for leveling. And I'm hearing it might still be fine for sim farming, but who knows? Those characters were pretty nuts. But like, this is our skill section. 6 measly changes. Our ascendancy changes is our 2 reworks that we already knew we got. Ascendant, which gets changed anytime 2 ascendancies get reworked, and a slight bug fix to occultist. Like, come on, bro. Like, where's the meat? Where's the beef? As far as the rest of the patch notes, I actually think they're really good, but I have I'm going to talk positively about some of the rest of the stuff that's in here because I don't think this patch notes is all bad. I don't think that like you look at these patch notes and you just like throw a hissy fit, right? I think these patch notes are overall very good, but I'm kind of tired of the amount of skills in the game that are unplayable. And like, it's like, oh, you could play whatever you want though. There's so much possibility. Like, sure, yeah, I can, and just do 3 to 6 times less damage than than the best option around me in the same archetype. Even I'm not saying like, oh my god, man, I really wish Arc did as much damage as Shockwave Totem. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, the difference between Arc and Spark is ridiculous. The difference between Freezing Pulse and Ice Spear is insane. The difference between what is it, like Firestorm Ignite or Firestorm in general and what we can put out on Fire Dot is insane. Or if you look at like attack builds especially, everybody's talking about, oh, buff melee. The reason people say GGG doesn't understand, and GG, if you see this, I want you to understand. The reason we say buff melee is not because melee skills are just all bad and there's no playable melee in the game. There are plenty of melee builds that are good in the game at almost any given time. The issue is that there's so many old beloved skills of melee builds especially that are dysfunctional because there's just a better version. Like Spectral Throw, up until Spectral Helix getting nerfed several times over, was a pretty dead skill because Spectral Helix just did it better. Or, I mean, even if we're talking about Helix right now, Helix is still notably better than Cleave, than Reave, than Double Strike, than Dual Strike. Like, there's all these skills that you could just run down the list on that are underperforming like crazy. And I genuinely think that it would behoove GGG heavily to just buff all the skills. Who cares? Who cares about getting the numbers precise? Give me some 25% buffs. Give me some 50% buffs. Let me open patch notes and sit here and open to a smorgasbord of buffs to skills that I haven't touched in forever. And that's what they used to do. We used to get patch notes with these types of large buffs that at least made me think, oh my god, maybe this build is viable. Maybe it still sucked, right? Like I don't know. Nothing really ever like prevents that possibility from the build just still sucking. But at least I look at the numbers that they change and go, whoa, hold up, guys. Wait a minute. We might have a new build on our hands. And instead, we're just not getting given that opportunity. And it's getting really tiring because I've been playing the same builds for the same like 2 years, the past like year and a half, basically. I was talking with some friends yesterday, like after patch notes, and we were talking about, probably just playing bows again. And I was I can't will myself to play Lightning Arrow again. I was pushing Lightning Arrow before Lightning Arrow got popular. I was like really pushing it in 315, 316 when I started doing some testing. After bow changes in 313 was when I went back into bows in general. Then 315, 316, I was already pushing it hard. 317 comes around. I only played it because I needed to make sure that the buffs were as good as I thought that they were because I was already putting up good times before those buffs. Like those buffs made it feel so much better, right? 317 comes around. Bows are finally meta. And now they've been good ever since. But I can't just keep playing fucking Lightning Arrow and Tornado Shot every time. Where's my good Ice Shot? Where's my good Burning Arrow? Where's my good Blast Rain? Where's some Rain of Arrows love? Like, what are we doing here, right? Or if we think about dot builds, particularly speaking, realistically, where's my Chaos dot spell buff? Where's my Chaos hit spells buff? I've been wanting to play Dark Pact again for the past 3 years. I can't justify it because it's just straight up worse than Forbidden right now. And even Forbidden Right has some things I don't really like about it. Where's the support for it on the tree? Where's the support for it in the gems? There's a number of like player power things that are just so imbalanced that they really should be touching and not in the negative direction. That is not a call, hey, nerf all this stuff that's performing. No. That is specifically me saying that we need buffs. We need buffs. I need to open patch notes. And go, wow, there's so many opportunities here for me to pick builds. Because what I've gotten over the past few leagues now is a ton of new ways to interact with the Atlas. That's cool. But it's still me playing the same builds. And if I'm playing the same builds, my content strategy doesn't really change, right? Now, let's talk positive. Because there are some really good things in here. There's the things that of course get nerfed and whatnot. Like, for example, let's start with a really obvious one. Legion, this is all a nerf. This is all just a nerf to the amount of XP that 5 ways generate. It makes sense. They're trying to nerf AFK boosting, a lot like what Diablo 4 just did actually in season 1, right? Massive XP boosting nerfs. It'll still exist. They're just nerfing its efficacy by a ton, which is super cringe, but whatever. It doesn't affect me negatively because I don't like Legion anyways, so it is what it is. But now I did say we need buffs, and like I will say, they did do a good job of giving us a lot of support gems. This is a section of the game that I look forward to playing around with. I have some thoughts on a couple of these. I can't do any real theory craft with them until I get numbers, though. Like, we don't even have level 1 gems for me to try to extrapolate from any of these. GDG, if you see this, or if we just want to signal boost this part or something, like, look, GDG, I need numbers to be able to do anything with this information. I've been saying it for years, like in private circles, and now the only difference is that now now I'm like attempting to make content, right? And yeah. Well, not even attempting. We're here and I'm making this video and everything, but just like platform wise, like this is something that I feel very passionate about, which is that if you're going to give me patch notes and you want me to get excited about these new things, I need the data that makes the new thing workable. Because like PoE as a game doesn't work where I could just sandbag the first 30 levels or whatever as you try things out. Like it doesn't work that way. Because if your first 30 levels don't work out, you're just kind of bricked, right? You kept the game designed that way, which means you need to provide ample information ahead of time for us to make decisions on if these are good. Because, for example, volatility support in theory sounds like it should be really good. This effect is really strong. We run Resolve Coil for this exact same reason, right? So like that could be really strong for bleed, and even for ignite, this ignite melee they're trying to really push between volatility support. We've got controlled blaze support, which is just melee attack ignite scaling. There's even like, sadism if you really wanted to use that. I don't think sadism is gonna be good, but if you think that sadism has potential, then they added some new tree nodes, I think, as well. Where is it? Where are they at? Yeah, here we go. Ignite nodes, fire damage, ignite nodes. Where's the other one? Here we go. Another fire damage node so you can try to scale ignites. Like they're trying to push this archetype. So like that's cool. But like where's my numbers? So that I can work, Like this is supposed to be my work period where I go ham on the POBs to try to find and see if there's anything new that we could actually play around with, and I just have nothing to work from. Trauma support is going to be pretty good probably. Flat Fizz is always a nice stat to have in the early game. I don't think this will scale very long term, but I don't know for sure. Sad that it can only be used with access to Mace Substance stays. I really wanted to use this with fucking Viper Strike. That makes me sad that I won't be able to do that with Viper Strike. Um, can't do any type of a corrupting cry. Don't know how much damage it does. Um, Guardian's Blessing, I think everybody's already theorying pretty heavy around because it's pretty unlikely that your mini will be unable to be sustained easily. This is like going to probably be pretty strong for especially like support characters and minion characters. I don't know if other character types are gonna be able to run this effectively. The other thing that I want to know is like it was so 6 counts of blessing. Does this mean you can't use divine blessing? I think that's what it means, but I just want to make sure. Um, returning projectiles. Like I know what this effect is, but we don't have the actual level 20. I think we got shown level 1 at 70% less damage on return, which like was decent. But I need to know if this scales upward or should not. Would like the numbers for Locust Mine. I want to know what Waking Fury does for fresh meat. I don't know what that does. Could have high potential with minions like SRS or Skellies, but again, I don't have the details. And that kind of sums up a lot of my thoughts here. We got details for the keystones though. Lots of cool keystones in here. I got a couple days to come like for this. I'm actually very excited for a handful of these keystones, and maybe I'll do a separate thing talking about like what I think about with each of the keystones. In short, huge fan of destructive play just because it gives me something to do besides wait a fucking Exarch influence every map until the end of time. Um, in terms of some other things that I was looking at though, as far as like what would get me excited about this setup, I would keep your eye on particularly Unending Nightmare. It feels like it's going to have something really strong come out of it. I think between one or both of these ritual ones, it might come out pretty good. And I really like these map ones. Overloaded Circuits is pretty good. It's plus under cost map crafting options, but I'm gonna show a strategy later on, at least with the current tree, to get an idea of like what I would use overloaded circuits for, with like Essence, for example, because it's fairly cheap. I think this is some pretty cool idea, like a pretty cool idea to play around with. Ridiculous Appraiser is just funny. I think it has value. Southern Gate is just really amusing, the trigger condition to me. But we tested, we were looking at it, only seems like it's 5 to 6 points to activate extra over to get. It's like so total like 12 points to get the gates plus the extra gate portals. So like there's potential here as well. There's probably a tree that makes very good use of that. Saint There's back. This is cool, except fuck you for adding rares that have to be killed. Those rooms that you didn't have to kill anything and were awesome. Why would you do this? There's a lot of maps that are back, some stuff. I can't really talk about a lot of this Atlas stuff. You'll find is that I'm not really excited to talk about a whole lot of it yet because we don't have the actual Atlas tree. I need the actual Atlas passive tree information. Once we have that, I'm gonna start pumping videos to talk about the strategies that I will be running or strategies that I recommend. Just as some things that are pretty good. They're not gonna be too different, like drastically from what we have already, but there's definitely some node changes that will open up some other ways to approach a strategy. For example, they mentioned here shaping the seas and shaping the valley, which are the two middle shaping nodes, are no longer there. And so like that affects some stuff, right, for wandering path or regular mapping, especially the earlier time periods, right? Or they talk about other stuff being removed, seance getting moved into the middle of the tree instead of being on the side. A bunch of new Beyond stuff to go with the new Beyond Keystone. Like that's all stuff that like I need to be able to play around with. But we don't have the tree so that I can start giving like strong recommendations. But I'll probably still make a video like kind of talking about it, like alluding to some stuff and then like confirm pieces when we actually get the information. Legionaries talked about these. This is a weird deli nerf. Tormented spirits now don't just get farmed. So maybe like these things actually will live, which means they in theory should actually do their job now. I'll decide later if I think that this is Yeah. What do you call it? This is going to be Torment a lot easier to engage with because things won't just, like you have to historically do like ghost busting, right? Vacuum everything together on a CDPS character or something. Like, hopefully, this makes it so that these are actually functional, especially with the new keystone that makes them allowed to possess you instead of enemies. Could be really cool. I guess I will talk a little bit about the ascendancy changes, and it's mostly because there's changes in here to what we saw in the original information, right? So, number one, harmony of purpose. I'll save you the effort of trying to read all of this. The important things are we got the linking to your allies now does affect is the confirmed to actually do things for you with harmony of purpose. It gives the all res. You'll notice the words elemental damage is lucky are missing. They removed the damage from harmony of purpose dead on arrival. I think that was all of the actual changes because, I still don't know what the Sentinel of Radiance does or the level 20 Summon Elemental Relic. So, again, information that I need in order to think anything about these nodes still not available to me. Chieftain, I think the only change that I noticed when I looked through this previously, and maybe I didn't remember clearly because I did not spend a lot of time studying this ascendancy previously. Like I saw this ascendancy announcement and I got really depressed after making my video. Oh, they fixed this error. Okay, funny thing, when I first saw this right here said it required Namahu, which is very amusing. Namahu got a buff between initial announcement and now. This line here, making jewels add +3 to strength, was not present before. This is actually a really cool utility add because that just adds, that's base life, that's strength scaling for any strength stacking setup. So there's potential there. Strength for even just like getting Iron Will online for casters. Like, okay, there's some potential here. Finally, something like this makes Namahu a lot more approachable because the Fireborn part is actually kind of bad, at least until we get the passive tree. As I can see, and they also confirmed that Ramako sucks. Nearby fire is just 0 on builds that get constantly down to -100 or more. That's crazy. Ascendant Guardian, it loses the PDR and reduce effective curses on you and onslaught, which like these are things that Guardian lost all of as well. So it's not too surprising that you lost it here. The big thing is that you actually get the recovery rate from Guardian now. And you also get the block increases, which makes Ascendant Guardian a very nice defensive choice still, for pairing with, Ascendant Champ for damage, Ascendant Pathfinder for flash sustain, Ascendant Raider for personal speed and safety. There's also Ascendant Necro for damage. Like the Ascendant supports are looking really nice for ways to support their team. And Ascendant Chieftain got the weird Totem Taunt support. But the big thing is it got the 10% increased strength. This is pretty cool that they still kept that alive. This is a good Frigid Wake bug fix. Very long needed, by the way. I noticed this problem a long time ago. Alright, some other stuff in here. Vengeance Cascade, by the way, if you're curious, Annihilated no longer actually increases any damage at all. You have to have returning projectiles. Returning projectiles have increased speed. So the big thing is that this doesn't do anything on its own. You need to already have a way to get returning projectiles. So no longer a massive damage increase. 30 techniques got nerfed, which is unfortunate. Stuff like this. This Strike the Blood is just hitting another like immunity setup that has existed. A lot of other miscellaneous stuff. If you're an ailment build, you should be most aware of the fact that temp chains and the veiled modifier for increased duration of ailments, both of those have been nerfed, and this nerf is another pretty hefty nerf to this veiled modifier. I'm surprised it's not just removed from the game at this point. All in all, like I simmed this yesterday on my impending Doom character from last league that I did Ubers on, and this is about between the two nerfs. I just lost 34% of my damage, which is absurd. Like I know why this nerf came through so ham-fistedly, but man, that is brutal. I'm not a huge fan, but I understand some other changes. This no longer can roll. They detected fun when they were look at this. You see, we detected players could live, and so we didn't want that. We detected players could have fun doing damage. We didn't want that. We detected players were doing damage. None of that. Like I don't know. We detected that players were leveling with speed. None of that. Like okay, buddy. Crucible passive skill that calls and then Totem Explode getting annihilated in standard is hilarious to me, namely because of the way they phrased it. It is the only change I think I've ever seen in patch notes ever that is not said a percentage increase or decrease. This shit says divided by 20. Divided by 20. That's a 95% nerf, by the way, if you're trying to put that in percentage terms. That is hot. But like it's just funny that they had to say divided by 20 to make it clear how bad this nerf is. Oh man, look at all these ruthless changes. Just stuck right in the middle of my patch notes, man. Again, fuck you, GGG. I don't want all this ruthless shit. Anyways, some monster balance stuff that's worth noting. If you're doing any guardian farming strategies, note you'll drop less influence items. This kind of sucks. I don't get why they made this change, but whatever. Influence items already weren't strong enough to justify this, but whatever. They had to nerf monster type chains as well, just to make sure that you still can't get this benefit. This is the best change in here, by the way. Monsters that are unable to be damaged or targeted no longer regenerate life or energy shield or recharge energy shield. This means that gain life is extra on bosses will no longer be the literal worst thing known to man, and that maybe devourers will finally be killable. Smile. This right here is a very annoying nerf. Slightly increase the outcome odds for tainted currency from beyond bosses and slightly reduce from other beyond monsters. They should massively increase the odds from beyond bosses, first of all. But this is also a change that's being made because the keystone basically allows you to turn off beyond boss spawns. And instead have a full map of beyond cringe. Yeah. All right, we've seen the device. Which, by the way, if you saw my device video, okay, so my title was kind of cooked because I kind of got baited hard when I was looking at the image. I didn't realize that the scroll wheel was always there, but I was in fact right about what that keystone, what the note in the ancestors page was alluding to. I was not too far off base on that. As you see here, the seventh gate is one of Kirik's, which grants all possible league mapping crafting options are available. So I was right about the effect itself existing finally, but I definitely I only needed one of the two things I cited for it existing. Outside of that, here's where you got all the new supports. You can go read that. I'll have the link to the patch notes in the description, obviously. And then some UI stuff that I don't really care about. Filter change. This is actually really funny. I'm really glad that they're finally going back to skill and support gems. Because trying to explain to somebody why support skill gems the name is kind of weird. And then just a handful of bug fixes. You see, bug fixes are where you always find the best nerfs. So if you're with me this long, I mean, thank you for being here all this time. Now let's get into the real patch notes, baby. The real patch notes here, by the way, if you were using like a They of Toll or any of the other good breach vectors, even like just the damage vectors from there. I used to try doing builds with the Esh spiders. These just got nerfed because apparently they had too much life. Unlucky. Taunting enemies is not working correctly. That's pretty funny. The what do you call it? You have, what is it? There was something else. If you were trying to play Black Ludiv, this wasn't working. I think one of my favorites in here, I'm going to talk about some of the big ones in here, by the way. Malevolence no longer affects itself, which this is not entirely true because the aura itself, like, you can refresh while it's active and it does work. Unless they're fixing that, which is kind of cringe. Leap Slam always uses your main hand weapon. This one is a leveling nerf, by the way. People discovered this bug, I think 3 leagues ago, or we started making heavy use of it 3 leagues ago. It's why like you see so many leveling runs for casters running with like a foil in their left hand. Foils have base 1.6 attack speed or axes at 1.5. And then you would put your scepter for better damage in your offhand because it had a worse attack speed. But you got to have the best attack speed available for your Leaf Slam. That's no longer going to be the case. That's kind of like, this sucks, but it was definitely like one of the things they probably figured out how to fix because of the way leveling was going. This bug, I'm pretty sure, has existed for a long time. Then there's also this mastery right here. Damage for each of your auras or heralds was actually providing 16% instead of 8%. So builds that were planning on using this in game, you're going to feel this nerf quite a bit. or this bug fixed quite a bit. There's also if you were looking at mana forge arrows, but you were trying to use things like Lionized Paws or SNS Chant, or not SNS Chant, Maloney's, this now actually allows those to scale properly with mana forged arrows, so there's probably some potential there as well. God bless. There was a really funny one with Blast Rain if you didn't know about that one. There is, let's see, there was one or two more in here, and I wish I was like remembered exactly where I saw it at. Oh, here we go. So this is a very interesting two-part bug for Snipe. Snipe was doing damage with one fewer stage than expected, but also with one with the wrong damage type if you were looking at ailments. And so I actually I misread this first line here when I was first reading through the notes when I went to go test the feeling of this. So start with the bottom line. Snipe supports damage with ailments per snipe stage. The math for how much damage that costs me in terms of feel in game is about 24% damage. And so to simulate this, I removed my Awakened Swift Affliction support. So I removed 40% damage just to get an idea of I thought it would feel worse for any major single targets. Ran an 8 mod Vault Temple with ease, ran an Invitation with ease, still feels fine on my Bleed Bow character, so I'm not really fretting it, especially after just like then later on finding out that I was actually one stage off, right? Doing 5 stage snipe and only, or doing 6 stage snipe and only getting 5 stages of damage, or 8 stage when I was trying Asylum and only getting 7 feels pretty bad. This also probably explains a lot of why I thought some of my lower snipes were really weak when you try to like 2 or 3 stage charge an essence so you can get it off before you have to run. So overall, this might actually be a net buff. I didn't do the math on this yet, but overall, Bleed Bow still gonna be very good. I will have a build guide coming for Bleed Bow, even though I won't be playing it this league. I played it last league and I thought it was incredible. I think you guys will really enjoy it. So I'm gonna give you a bug. Also, this right here means that there might be some interest in like a single hit, but I don't know about that yet. And I think that was all of the ones I cared about. Oh, right. This one. Fix the bug where your hybrid helmet res mods from Incursion that were res plus fist taken as was not actually changeable at the station. That's finally fixed, which is good. They fixed a really cool bug where you could get into meta or into Tane's lab sooner. But like that's just the overall of it, right? And then here's some updates. I think I saw everything in here already. Yeah, they fixed the wording on controlled blaze. Good. I saw that change. But yeah, so this is a very good, you call it, this is a very, very good, these patches, like I said, overall very good patch. It's always a good feel when the Atlas is continually getting better and better, because it really helps you feel like even if the league mechanic itself is not the greatest thing in the game, the actual like league is gonna the mapping experience is gonna be good yet again. There's gonna be some fresh ideas and ingenuity and strategies coming up. So I'm very, very excited for that. But like again, echoing the same sentiment I started with the video with and everybody else's sentiment, I still do not feel like we should be neglecting skill changes like this. Like they even said at ExileCon, we're gonna have a meta shakeup in 322. I do not see changes that are actually shaking up much of any meta. My boy DD is still going to cook most Ignite setups. Spectral Helix or Spectral Throw is cooking most melee setups. Like, where is the actual meta change? Where are the buffs to make it feel not like shit to play with these underperforming skills? Like, that's my big thing because I really like what I do and what I really wanted to do as a creator, especially is I like making builds. But I'm extremely unwilling to just play builds that I can objectively tell are just going to be significantly worse than everything else around it. Ignore my league starter last league. Don't talk about we don't talk about that. Like I don't like playing builds that are just like objectively inferior to something right next door to it. So I really hope they get it together, and I should give us some good information on that front. Anyways, it's been a bit of a long one just because patch notes are always a bit of a patch note thing. Sorry I didn't stream yesterday. I mean, I'll be live today, but I'll be rating first. But you could always talk about my POE while I'm rating because, or I might not even be rating today. Today's reclear day, and I don't know if I'm on for reclears because I got the item I need, and we need to get kills for other people. So maybe who knows? If I'm live and I'm not rating, I'll probably be talking POE. Maybe playing like this new game I found while we talk POE, or like opening POB and looking at some stuff. Start talking about new things. We'll start practice runs on Sunday. Uh, Sunday on stream, anyways. I'll be doing practice runs today, tomorrow to get ready for League Start because I already have my plan made, and that'll be coming in the future videos. Unless if you tune into my stream, you'll get a sneak peek on what the plan's looking like. You know how that goes. Anyways, links in the bio to get everything you need. Bio. Wow, what have I've been on every other social too often. Links in the description for what you need. I'll have a link to the patch notes as well as my stream, and hey, look, my Discord, because that's where I hang out. I didn't stream yesterday, but I held a discussion in my Discord, like just open. You can come hang out and we can talk PoE there. And it's always like an option that's available. I'm always around to like chat shit when I'm not working. So that's that. Any whoosies, thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Some beefy information coming out soon for you guys. Promise. Peace out.